In the old-timey days, tools like chisels were sold without handles, and nobody even questioned it. It was just how it was. After all, you're a woodworker. Why wouldn't you make the wooden part of the tool yourself? That sort of thinking is mostly gone nowadays. In fact, I bet you didn't even know you could buy chisels without handles. You still can. And there are several good reasons why you would buy handleless chisels. For one thing, you can customize the fit of the handle to your hand. Larger, smaller, more round, more tapered. The right fit makes a big difference. And the balance of the chisel makes a big difference too. Some chisels have handles that are just too light, and when all that weight is at the end, it can lead to sore hands and forearms. You may also just want to use a particular species of wood besides the maple or hornbeam that all the brands seem to love. I like walnut. It's a good way to use up some of those smaller scraps of fancy wood that you've been saving for so long. And don't think you need a lathe for this. In a minute, I'll show you how to make them with a simple bandsaw jig. You could also do it with just a rasp and some sandpaper. And there's something to be said with working with a tool you made yourself, even if it is just the handle. But the biggest reason to buy handleless chisels is you can get much higher quality tools for your money. Check this out. This is a Stanley Sweetheart chisel. It's made from chrome manganese steel, hardened to about Rockwell 59. It's quality stuff. This chisel is also chrome manganese steel, Rockwell 59 hardness, basically the same steel from what I can tell. But it's thicker and more robust, and the bevels along the edges are better ground. This is another thing a lot of folks don't know. When you're looking for a good chisel, always look at the beveled edges. A lot of chisels have thick edges because that's where the grinding machine needs to hold the tool in place while they make it, but thick edges don't get into tight spaces very well. Higher end chisels often have very fine, almost sharp edges along the sides. These are much more difficult to make, but the tool will be more useful. If a manufacturer goes the extra mile to create properly beveled edges, it's a sign of a good tool all the way around. But this is what's going to blow your mind. Again, same steel as far as I can tell. This one is thicker and better made, including properly beveled edges. But this one was $40, and this one, $14. Why? Because this one didn't come with the handle. I had to make that myself. It wasn't difficult. I didn't even need a lathe, but it saved me almost 70% of the cost. The handleless chisels that I use come from a factory in the Czech Republic that's been forging tools since 1919, a long time, and I get them through a small business in Missouri. I'll link to them below. They come in 6 sizes from 1/8 inch up to 1 inch, and they're as little as $10 each. I cannot believe they are that inexpensive. At that price, you're probably going to want a full set because then you can make all your handles together. But if you want to just try 1 or 2, go with like a 1/4 and a 3/4. I think those are the sizes that are most useful in most workshops. Really, it's a shockingly low price for such a good tool. And making the handles are a lot of fun. There's a lot of ways to do it. But today I'm going to show you one way that doesn't require a lathe. Instead, I just used a simple homemade bandsaw jig. The way it works is really clever. I've notched a wooden fence so it'll fit around the base of my bandsaw's blade. This will allow me to follow a template with the bandsaw just like I might with a router bit. The jig has a template attached to the bottom to give the handle a nice subtle curve to fit my hand. Notice how it can slide against the fence without the blade cutting into the template itself. A wood blank fits into the jig where it's held in place between the points of 2 screws. An angled stop will hold it at indexed positions so I can cut an 8-sided handle 1 facet at a time. The jig's not my design. I saw it on the Pask Makes channel. He has a free set of plans. I'll link to his website below. You have to go to him for them because this is his idea. It only took me about half an hour to make mine, and it can be used to create as many handles as I want. Check it out in action. It's really quick and simple. I'm cutting 1 facet at a time, then rotating the blank and using the indexer to find and lock the next position. If you're curious, my blank was originally 1.5 inches square and a little more than 4 inches long. It's really amazing how I can batch out handles with this thing, and I love the multifaceted look. The next step is drilling the hole for the chisel's tang. I have a clamp with a notch that I cut into it to hold my handle blank perpendicular at the drill press. I'm drilling a 3/8 inch hole. You can do this with a hand drill, There are tricks to help you get it straight. There's even another little jig that I'll show you at the very end. But a drill press really makes it easy. Here I'm measuring the thickness of the brass collar and the leather washer that's in the chisel kit. The washer is just a nice touch. It absorbs some of the shock when you strike the chisel, so it's less likely to bounce out of position. I mark this measurement on the end of my handle blank, and then I center the collar by eye so I can mark the inside with a pencil. Now I have to remove this waste so the collar will slip onto the end of the handle. First, I saw about 3/8 of an inch deep all the way around. It's okay if you go a little too deep. Nobody's going to see it once you put the collar on. From the end, I carefully begin splitting away the waste. Just do a little bit at a time so you don't remove too much. It's easier if the grain is nice and straight, but even if the grain is a bit angled, you can manage if you just take little bites. Once I'm close to my line, I can use a file or a rasp to round the rest of the waste off. Again, don't go too far. If it fits tight, you don't need epoxy. In my case, the collar went on with some tapping, which is exactly what I wanted. Then I covered it with several layers of tape to protect the brass during the next step. I'm drawing a line about a 1/2 inch from that saw cut shoulder. Then I begin paring from that line, angling the end grain toward the collar. A large wood screw clamp is a great way to hold the blank while you work. I'm trying to carry the same 8 facets forward. If your chisel is sharp and you pare a little bit away at a time, you'll have no problem working your way all the way around. I'm not worried about perfection. I want this to look a little bit handmade. Now it's time to clean up the bandsaw marks. A scraper is an ideal tool for this. I just work one facet at a time. Sandpaper works as well. In fact, I like to soften the edges a bit to make the handle more comfortable. I also round over the end, but again, I want a bit of a handmade look, so I'm not worrying about that dimple from the jig. I don't know if you're supposed to use epoxy, but I really didn't see a need to because the tang fits tightly in the hole, and I've had these for quite a while and they haven't come loose. And frankly, I'm glad I didn't use any glue initially because halfway through the first chisel I made, I noticed that I'd forgotten to put in the washer. It was a real pain getting that thing back apart. But I managed, and with the washer in place, I was able to fully seat the handle on the chisel. I don't like a lot of finish on a chisel handle because I want to maintain a good grip. One coat of wipe-on poly was enough for me. And there you have it. I love the look. It feels great in my hand. It saved me a bundle, and I feel a little extra pride when I use it. Be sure to check out the link to the chisel kits below this video. I showed this process in a video a few years back, and the kits sold out almost immediately. People got upset at me, even though that's not my fault. I'm doing this again partly for the new viewers that have come to the channel since then, but also to give the folks who missed out the first time another crack at it before these are gone too. One more thing. You've seen this one on Cool Tools in the past, but it remains one of the handiest little things I have in my shop. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes I have a hard time drilling a straight hole while keeping the bit plumb to the workpiece. If I can't use a drill press, the first thing I reach for is my drill block. I love it because it's small, it's really inexpensive, and it has hardened steel guide holes in the most common sizes from 1/8 to 1/2. I also like the non-slip feet on the bottom, which help it stay put as I work, and the V-groove on the underside makes it possible to drill into corners or even cylindrical objects. There's not much to say about it. It's a lifesaver in certain situations, and it's just flat out handy to have in others. I have a couple of these because, like I said, they're pretty inexpensive but really handy. Keep one in the shop, another in the toolbox. I am always glad I have one. Check it out at the link below this video.